Clearly we want her out there. I think she draws so much attention and she's a phenomenal player. But at the same time, I think it's a great time for her to learn from the sidelines.
As the WNBA shocked fans by ejecting starlet Caitlin Clark, colleagues Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull reacted angrily, prompting mayhem to erupt on the court. These fervent defenders refused to remain silent, causing the arena to tremor, voices to thunder, and tempers to boil. However, what precisely triggered this heated altercation? And why did the league let go of the player who showed the most promise? Today, we explore the drama, the raw emotions, and the struggle that could end women's basketball. This is where the shocking ejection that shook the WNBA took place. Everything happened pretty fast. 4 weeks to come, everyone will be discussing this shocking and unexpected event. The undeniable WNBA star Caitlin Clark was abruptly dismissed from a crucial, high-stakes game following a controversial and hotly debated call by the referees. It wasn't simply any player who was being benched. Caitlin Clark is a cunning person. Her incredible court vision, careless three-point shooting, and exciting playing style have made her famous all over the world. She has had a significant impact on women's basketball. She has become the intelligent face of the league's explosive growth, attracting huge crowds, shattering records, and inspiring masses of new fans across the globe. But instead of receiving the respect and security that a celebrity of her caliber deserves, Caitlin Clark was punished that evening in the harshest way conceivable. The atmosphere in the arena was tense from the start. Many players on both teams were able to get away with aggressive moves, violent plays, and subtle fouls. After a furious verbal altercation, the tension reached a boiling point. The officials gave Caitlin Clark her second technical foul without hesitation, forcing her to exit the floor, walk off in shocked silence, and retreat to the locker room. The crowd, which had been delirious with excitement, fell silent suddenly, surprised and confused by the sudden shift, but the silence was fleeting. Caitlin Clark's teammates became enraged right away. 2 players immediately caught our attention: Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull. These fierce warriors would not remain silent. They made it clear that they would not put up with the removal of their top players and expressed their demands for justice. Sophie Cunningham, who is renowned for her fiery energy and unwavering determination, has always defended Caitlin Clark on the court. She is an experienced fighter with a black belt in Taekwondo. She also has no fear when it comes to defending her teammates. Lexie Hull stood next to Sophie Cunningham, shoulder to shoulder. They were equally impassioned and unrelenting, eager to stand up for what they both believed to be a terrible injustice. Together, they emerged as a forceful voice of protest to what many regarded as an unjust and harmful blow to the player who has done so much to better the league's standing. But this was more than a technical foul or a sudden dismissal. It began to behave as a lightning rod, symbolizing all the underlying tensions that were simmering beneath the surface. It raised awareness of the challenges Caitlin Clark faces every time she appears in court. Her incredible talent has propelled the league to new heights, but it has also made her a target. The drama is far from over. In actuality, it's only the beginning. The entire globe is watching this unfolding tale, curious to know what will happen next. This cataclysmic incident sparked a massive battle. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull's unyielding position, which also demands justice for Caitlin Clark, is currently endangering the WNBA's future. As Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull fiercely defend Caitlin Clark, the WNBA must make a critical choice. Will the league finally defend her, or will it run the risk of losing its brightest star and the future of women's basketball? Let's see how their bold action led to a rebellion throughout the league. On the hardwood, ferociously. As Caitlin Clark walked slowly out of the court, her countenance a mix of wonder and deep grief, something powerful ignited on the bench behind her. Lexie Hull, her strong partner and loyal friend, was so irritated that she lost all self-control. She suddenly sprang to her feet, her arms outstretched, her eyes burning with anger and disbelief. Her words shattered the tight silence in the arena like a thunderclap. It's a joke. If you enjoy this content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Keep your stars secure. It may surprise you to learn that almost 83% of viewers have not yet subscribed. Even though it only takes a second and is free, it means the world to us. Have you already subscribed? Fantastic! I sincerely appreciate your help. Let's return to the video now. It was a passionate cry for justice, not just a shout. A call for respect and fairness that struck a chord with all of the fans present. Her comrades rushed over to try to soothe her and put out the fire inside of her. But Lexie Hull's excitement went viral. It could not be ignored or silenced. She was determined that this moment would not be overlooked or forgotten in the chaos of the game. Beside her, Sophie Cunningham stood firmly and steadily, silent yet fierce. There were calm eyes full of blazing resolution and quiet words bearing the weight of unwavering commitment instead of rising hands or shouts. Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham worked together to create a formidable defense against coaches and officials. They battled with steadfast conviction, zeal, and heart. They weren't there to fight. Their message was clear and powerful. If the league refused to stand up for Caitlin Clark, Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham would do all in their power to protect her. Clearly intimidated by such a daring challenge, the umpires threatened to ban both players for challenging their decisions. But Lexie Hull, calm and unflappable, turned to face them without hesitation, gently pushing them to advance. Her courage never wavered. She was not going to give up. That night, the Indiana Fever stopped being just another basketball club playing a standard game. They came to stand for unwavering togetherness, fierce loyalty, and defiance. Basketball wasn't the only activity taking place on that court. It was a fight for respect, safety, and the fundamentals of women's basketball. The crowd's growing uproar reflected the team's rebellious scream. Every scream and fierce look expressed one undeniable truth. Caitlin Clark could now finally confront the storm on her own. Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham's unwavering position ignited a powerful revolution. They were no longer willing to keep quiet, so they vowed to defend Caitlin Clark at all costs and permanently change the direction of women's basketball. But how did Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull's fierce protest after Caitlin Clark's shocking dismissal spark a revolution in women's basketball? What does the league's courageous fight against injustice portend for the future? Let's discover the whole truth. Indianapolis's breaking point. The chaos that erupted on that special night in Indianapolis wasn't a singular occurrence. It was the culmination of a situation that had been simmering for the entire season. For months, Caitlin Clark has endured appalling treatment on the court. Strong shoulder checks, stinging pokes close to her eyes, elbows crashing into her ribs, and blatant fouls that the umpires failed to call. However, the league's authorities hardly ever intervened to protect her. Despite the increasing physical attack. This time, Caitlin Clark was the one being silenced rather than the one causing problems. Rather than being punished. Aggressive play, she was accused of technical fouls simply for raising her voice, expressing her displeasure, and simply responding to the situation. Both Caitlin Clark and her closest court allies were deeply affected by the unfairness of it all. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull, her closest teammates and best defenders, saw the unfairness. After Caitlin Clark was taken out of the game, they did not keep quiet. They responded angrily and quickly. They did more than just show. They sparked a powerful movement that spread well beyond the hardwood. Their fierce reaction was caught on camera in its entirety. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull were pacing the sidelines and raising their voices in rage as they yelled at the authorities, demanding justice and answers. They urged their teammates to stand tall and fend off the disdain. This was no longer about a single call or a single game. It had become a battle for dignity, respect, and the right to be heard. The mood of the arena shifted. An ordinary basketball game devolved into a furious altercation between the players and the league. As many watched the outburst of rage and indignation on television and social media, the episode quickly became viral. Conversations about injustice, bias, and the lack of protection for the league's best players broke out. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull did more than simply defend a teammate that night. They battled a system that had allowed unfair treatment to continue unchecked. Their bold attitude made a powerful statement. They would no longer tolerate being silenced or disregarded. They demanded justice for all players, not just Caitlin Clark, who ought to have received equitable treatment and respect on the court. At this crucial juncture, murmurs of rage became a loud, unmistakable call for change. The Wnba was no longer merely a sports league. It was also a battleground for justice, power, and voice. Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull's emotional outburst was more than just a reaction. It was a declaration. The players were ready to strike back, take charge, and modify the game to fit their objectives. A far wider conversation about equality, respect, and the future of women's basketball was sparked by what started out as a controversial incident in Indianapolis. Was the WNBA's most valuable up-and-coming prospect disappointed? Now let's examine how the WNBA turned its hero into a target, the invisible battle. As the cold, hard data poured in, a disturbing reality started to surface. Caitlin Clark was not your average famous person. She was suddenly the most sought-after player in the WNBA. Remarkably, she was the target of more than 17% of the league's flagrant fouls. Even more shockingly, the Chicago Sky alone were responsible for an incredible 80% of the harsh fouls. But every time Caitlin Clark dared to defend herself, whether by physical reprisal or a clear emotional outburst, she suffered the worst consequences. Without holding back, her teammate Lexie Hull called this systemic favoritism, a deeply rooted problem where certain players and teams seem to be treated especially unfairly. Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark's enraged on-court bodyguard, claimed that the league's response was a deliberate choice to ignore the horrors occurring in front of everyone. Fans were also furious. Many saw it as a horrible betrayal. The league shunned the player who was infusing women's basketball with energy and passion. Instead of just playing the game, Caitlin Clark was changing it. Her exciting performances sold more jerseys than ever before, filled venues to capacity, and brought millions of new fans to WNBA broadcasts. She was the league's most valuable asset and brightest star, not just a performance. But instead of celebrating and protecting its star, the league treated her like a problem to be solved or, worse, a threat to be silenced. This devastating contrast shattered the basketball world. This player was breaking attendance records and making huge sums of money. Nevertheless, she was once more the victim of vicious physical assaults and did not obtain the protection to which she was legally entitled. Referees hesitated and often failed to declare fouls as Caitlin Clark took blow after blow, his bruises hidden by the bright lights and joyful highlight clips. The message was frighteningly clear. The WNBA was unprepared to protect her rights, regardless of how much she contributed to the league. The growing disparity between Caitlin Clark's exceptional influence and the league's lack of support sparked heated conversations among players, commentators, and fans. Did she not receive fair treatment on the court because of power struggles and unstated prejudices? The murmurs of discontent soon became loud roars, forcing the basketball community to face a challenging question. If the league couldn't protect its top young players, what would happen to women's basketball as a whole? Caitlin Clark's brilliance has rejuvenated the WNBA, but the league's unwillingness to protect her exposes a sad reality. Even stars can fade without help. Can the WNBA maintain its best future before it's too late? Let's look at why the league's survival depends on keeping Caitlin Clark safe. This statement is readily audible to the WNBA. Are you truly aware of Caitlin Clark's importance to you? She's not like other players. She possesses a gift that is unique to each generation. During her amazing collegiate career, she broke records and enthralled fans all around the world. Having contributed the same caliber of skill to the WNBA, she is now considerably superior to almost every other player on the court. But despite all of this, what are you doing to protect her? It's shocking to realize that you're letting her lose game after game. Caitlin Clark has been the target of harsh fouls from opponents, some of which are quite dangerous, in an attempt to seriously harm her. She has periodically been in danger of losing her vision due to negligent actions. Additionally, this has happened multiple times in both this season and the prior one. The league, however, took virtually little action. The WNBA is failing to safeguard its most valuable asset. I'll put this in perspective. Think about Michael Jordan, a player who is often called the greatest of all time. He was a superstar in college, far ahead of his peers, before hitting the NBA by storm. But even during his early years, MJ endured ongoing physical abuse. The Detroit Pistons, often known as the Bad Boys, were notorious for their violent and aggressive defense, which regularly broke the rules. Back then, what we now call flagrant fouls were just typical plays. The Pistons brutally bullied Jordan in an effort to undermine him both physically and mentally. But Jordan didn't give up. He strengthened himself, worked more, and came back stronger. At the same time, the NBA changed their approach. The league started enforcing rules more strictly, citing fouls and imposing severe fines in order to protect its stars. Why? Jordan was putting fans in the seats, selling merchandise worth millions of dollars, and breaking TV ratings records. To put it briefly, he was their most valuable asset, and the NBA made sure to protect him. The WNBA isn't treating Caitlin Clark the same way. Giving her unjustified favoritism is not the problem here. Safety and fairness are. The rules have to be followed.